We're on the road with Mickey, we're gonna have some fun. Regardless of the rain or sun, our trip has just begun. So buckle up, let's go, we're about to start the show. And maybe if you like us, you'll see where else we'll go. Hi everybody, I'm Sophie, he's Mike, and she's Brenda, and welcome to On the Road with Mickey. If you're returning for another adventure with us, welcome back. We are so glad you have returned safely, and if this is your first episode with us and you're new here, welcome. It's so nice to meet you, and I'm going to show you the reins today. First up, we have our Cheddar from the Big Cheese, which is basically our Disney news snippets. And then after that, we have our feature topic, which is what we talk about for most of the episode. And then after that, we have our This Day in Disney History, brought to you by me. And after that is our game of Who's Who, and that is brought to you by Mike, my dad. Oh, fair warning, I'm almost never wrong when it comes to this game. I almost always win it. And then after that, Brenda will be giving us a quote from the big man himself, Walt Disney, and it's just going to be amazing. So buckle up, keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the car at all times. Make sure you're safe, fasten your seatbelts, all that good stuff. And we will see you on the road. It's time to get going. Let's go!
Hey everyone, I'm Mike, and she's Sophie.
And she's back!
Hi, everyone.
And
That's Brenda.
that's Brenda, and he's Grogu. And we are on the road with Mickey. This is season 2, episode 24 for June 14th, 2021. And we're actually recording a little early, Wednesday, June 9th for this episode. I'm putting that out there for a reason, which will be discovered later on in the show. But anyway, our feature topic this week is Brenda's Walt Disney World recap. We want to hear everything, Brenda.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, no pressure.
Oh, boy.
But before we get started, we want to go through just a little bit of Cheddar from the Big Cheese. We don't have a whole lot. It seemed like it was kind of light this week. Maybe I just missed seeing a whole bunch. I don't know. But we have just a little bit, so I'm going to let Sophie start us off.
Yep. Alright, so my piece of cheddar kind of links up with Miss Brenda's piece of cheddar now that she's back. But the problem is that we are doing sort of a good news, bad news sort of thing. And I'm going to share the good news because I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
And that good news is that Ohana at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort is reopening July 9th. Booking is available June 10th, so this past week.
Yeah.
Too true.
And Brenda, what do you have to add?
I'll add that the breakfast seems to be great, right up there with what the breakfast used to be, as far as food.
Yeah.
But they have changed the menu for dinner at Ohana. And since Ohana has been the one constant table service reservation for my family for probably 15 years, every single trip we've taken, we've booked Ohana. It's our favorite.
Wow.
They really changed the menu, and it's really not something we're happy about. So
Yeah.
quickly, I'll just recap what the new menu is
Okay.
for anyone who hasn't been able to read that. This Ohana dinner features all you care to enjoy platters of grilled beef steak, roasted chicken, sausage, and island shrimp casserole, served with fried rice and roasted broccolini. Ohana pot stickers, crispy soy chicken wings, and the signature Ohana bread pudding, served warm with caramel sauce and vanilla ice cream, are back. Here's some things that are no longer included in our favorite meal. Ohana pineapple coconut bread, the
Hmm.
mixed green salad with the lilikoi dressing, the honey coriander chicken wings served with peanut and sweet and sour sauces, pork dumplings tossed in garlic ginger sauce served with peanut and sweet and sour sauces, the noodles, which are unbelievably good, tossed in teriyaki sauce mixed with fresh vegetables, stir fry vegetables, and the skewers that are prepared over the oak fire and served with house-made peanut and sweet and sour sauces, including Szechuan sirloin steak, sweet and sour chicken, spicy grilled peel and eat shrimp, and the original dessert includes bananas. I don't know if they're having the bananas Foster sauce or not. This said caramel sauce. I'm assuming it's going to be the
Hmm.
same one with the bananas. But as far as missing out on the noodles, which are so great, and then all the skewers of the steak and the chicken
Hmm.
and the shrimp. I don't know what shrimp casserole is. We're not fans of sausage and rice. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy. Ooh, sorry about anybody named Nancy out there. I'm not talking about you. But I think this change is not a good thing.
Hmm.
Okay. Will you give it a try though?
We will try it when we go back in November.
Okay.
Well, at
And,
least they still have your bread pudding.
gotta love the bread pudding, even if that's
Yeah.
all I eat.
Yeah.
I
Well,
When it comes to
I'm
Disney,
curious.
I have no problem with eating just dessert.
Me neither.
I'm curious to try it as well. And we kind of want to know what everyone that's listening thinks as well.
Yeah,
What do those changes at Ohana really are they a big time change? Because from what Brenda said, it sounds like a huge shift in the menu
sure
based on
sounds
what
like it
they
to me.
don't have that she's used to having. And I just want to hear your opinions. We want to hear from you. We have our Facebook page, and I've changed the URL slightly. You can get to it by going to facebook.ontheroadwithmickey.com, and that will take you automatically over to the Facebook page in Facebook. And if you want to go straight to the group, you can go to facebookgroup.ontheroadwithmickey.com. Might make it a little bit easier, maybe not. I think it's easier, but
Sounds
what do
easy.
I know? But anyway, I really want to hear what you guys think about the changes at the Ohana menu. And you know what? If enough people um, aren't happy with the changes, Disney might change it back. They've done that sometimes,
Yeah.
rarely, but they've done that sometimes with things. So
I'm all for that. Change it
yeah.
back.
But I am curious
Please.
to see. I like I was telling Brenda earlier, we don't have any context, Sophie and I, because we haven't been there for dinner. We've only been there for breakfast. So,
Yeah.
and for the record, right now the characters for breakfast are not there.
Right,
So it's just the food. But
right.
I am kind of excited that it's opening because it does mean that things are getting back to the way they used to be. Every
Yes.
step is a step closer, I think.
Which is why
Um,
I don't understand why they changed what was already perfect.
yeah.
Ohana was a fan favorite based on the menu.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would like to know what other listeners think too.
Yeah.
And
So
they might pick on me because I'm being a downer. I'm not trying to.
no.
I'm gonna miss it really bad.
Yeah.
You
And
know
and
what?
just
And
for
that's all
anyone
right.
listening, if you don't know Brenda yet from the show, you need to get to know her because she is absolutely one of the most positive people we know.
Yay, thank you.
So
Yeah. And if you don't know her, where on earth have you been? She's been with us for like coming up on 25 episodes.
Yay.
yeah. So anyway, back to the show. And one more piece of cheddar, and this is mine to talk about. And today's June 9th, and yesterday, June 8th, there was an accident on the Skyliner. It's similar to what we've seen before, where a couple cars banged together. Um, from what I can tell, there were no injuries. Everyone was fine. All is good, but I might be wrong. I'm not there right now, so I don't know for certain if that is the case. I think that the Skyliner is running. I haven't heard any issues that it's not, but But anyway, just wanted to let everyone know about that. Um,
Hope everyone's
to
okay.
me, yeah, and to me,
Yeah.
I love the Skyliner, and we haven't been involved in anything like that, so we don't really have any context for it.
Yeah, we were
But
just
I
commenting
still
last
love the
week that when we
Skyliner.
got on the Skyliner, both times we rode it, we kept getting yellow cars and it looked like two yellow ones collided. So we were talking last night about how grateful we are that nothing happened when we had the girls,
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
us.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I hope everybody's okay and no one was hurt.
Yeah. Um, So anyway, that's all I got for cheddar from the big cheese this week. So we will keep our ears out and listen for some cheddar, and we'll post it in the group and on the Facebook page as needed. So if we see anything, but anyway, that takes us to our feature topic, and that is Brenda's Walt Disney World recap. Like Sophie said last week, when we come
Yeah.
back from Disney, we do a recap. So,
Now
Brenda,
it's Miss
part of the
Brenda's
team,
turn.
her turn to give a recap. So, I'm going
And
to
don't
turn it
worry.
over to
Don't
her a
be
little bit.
nervous. You're gonna do great.
Yeah, yeah, you'll be
Well,
fine.
I was trying to think about what to include. I mean, there's a lot to include. So I decided to um, basically take the notes that I had taken from my trip in December and then just compare the differences during this trip in June. So
Okay.
Yeah. That
kind of, I
sounds like
mean,
a
some
great
things have
plan.
changed, obviously, and some things have not. So
Yeah.
so as far as like cleaning the room, etc., before you check in, it was exactly the same. The room is they do a good job cleaning it before you check in. They put the remotes in baggies, and
Uh huh.
all those precautionary things are still happening. We
Yeah.
did. We were told when we checked in. We were at the beach club, and it was the first day it reopened since COVID. Was our check-in day, May 30th. So
Wow.
we were the first guests in
Wow.
over a year. But they did tell us we would have like mousekeeping services every other day. They didn't come, but every time we called for like more towels or more shampoo or more coffees or anything, they brought them very quickly. So everything was fine. We did put our trash outside a couple of times and they took that. So it's not exactly the same as far as, having mousekeeping services right now because they're still trying not to touch things as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything was still very clean when we checked in.
Yeah. And when
Bell
you
service,
Good.
I'm
and when
sorry.
you go through online check-in, you pick your choice of every other day or I'll do my own.
Right.
That's one of the options you have right now for online check-ins. So,
Yeah, not sure it's sticking because we did not receive, and even in fact, when I called down and said, I expected them to come yesterday, but they didn't. He said, yes, it was on the schedule for yesterday, but they didn't. So we'll send them today. So it may not be perfect, but I mean, if you need anything, they're going to bring it as
sure,
quickly as possible. So,
sure,
Yeah.
it's Disney. They love to help people.
yeah,
Bell Services is still operating. It was operating in December when we went. It's still operating now. Um, let me see here. The pools, the pools are open. The pool
yeah.
bars are open. There's fun at
Yay.
the pools. There's pool games. The girls had a great time doing the pool games. I got to video them, which I love. I talked in the last time we met about how the nighttime activities, one of the greatest things about, nighttime is pool stuff, and they love it. So got to watch them. It was great. So the pools are in full force. The movies at night are still happening.
Awesome.
Um, Many of the restaurants are still closed. The we had, the beach club marketplace is like the food court area at the beach club, and I have a lot of food allergies, so there was really kind of only one thing I could get, which, it's limiting. There
Hmm.
are some limiting things with food choices, but they're opening more and more. And,
Hmm.
with this news yesterday about Ohana reopening, and they're going to start opening more and more. So I'm sure that's going to be getting better and better. I highly recommend the online check-in and receiving your notification when the room is ready. That just makes everything easier. Of course, if you don't have magic bands, which we have a billion left over from previous trips, but if you don't have magic bands, you'll need to still get your key to the world card from the desk. So
Yeah.
don't forget to do that. Let's see. Transportation. Transportation is a lot different than in December. And I'm speaking mostly about the bus. We did not even do the monorail this trip. But speaking about the buses and the Skyliner, the main differences were in December, they had increased from October's 6 groups of guests allowed on the bus at a time to 9 groups of guests allowed at a time.
Mm.
Now they still have the partitions between the numbered
Uh-huh.
groups, but they're
Uh-huh.
filling every single seat, every seat.
Okay.
So they're not skipping a seat in between groups. They had the partitions and then they're skipped. Now, I do have to say that we had a very friendly and talkative bus driver during one of our trips from Magic Kingdom. And this is not a Disney release, but his opinion is come July, every
Yeah.
seat will be filled and guests will again be standing on the buses.
Because
So
right now they're
just,
still not.
they're not standing.
Right.
He says he
Okay.
anticipates that it's going to be back to that in July.
Yeah.
But like
And
I
like
said,
you
that is
said,
not a
that's his
statement from Disney.
opinion. That's
Right,
right.
right.
Right. That's his thought.
That's right. And then the Skyliners, when we were there in December, they were loading only one family per car.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're loading, several guests, there several families per car. But when we rode the Skyliner this time, we did it during off times and we were literally the only people in line. So we had our own Skyliner. So I did not experience them meshing us with other families because there was nobody else getting on and we were getting on.
Yeah.
That feels a tiny bit weird, not gonna lie.
That they're mushing people into the.
Yeah, from different parties together. That one feels weird to me.
It does feel
Well.
weird, but you do have to wear your mask on transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but like still.
I know.
Still, I
Well,
always
it is,
considered
but
the Skyliner cabins to be one party per.
Oh no, they when they first came out, they were up to 10 guests per.
Mm.
and see for me and my thought on it is I can see what you're saying about it being weird, but usually we're in a big enough group where like,
That's
it's the
true.
three of us and Sheila and Randy and Jagan, so it's six and 6 people is pretty. I mean, you could fit a couple more people in, but the likelihood of them doing that to us anyway never seemed like that was a factor. And
Yeah,
with your group,
yeah.
you had
We
five,
had
right?
5, yeah.
So I would think that would be. I don't know.
Yeah, and I kind of wish there'd been someone else in line behind us so we could have seen if they had put him in with us or not, but it just didn't work out that way because we were there at off times.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's
So
interesting. I'd
we
be
shall
curious to see
see.
what happens with other people visiting.
That's right.
To see how it works for them.
Yep.
So.
Let's see. Let's see what else. Oh, let's move the page. Also have some input from my granddaughters, 9 and 7, on their
Awesome.
favorite things. So I'm going to share
Ooh.
that too. But I thought I'd go through these technical things first. Okay, so the parks. Going through the security and through the turnstiles, no mask requirement.
Yeah.
You get in the park, no mask requirement. You get in the lines while the lines are outside, no mask requirement. This this is not true
Mm.
on every ride. Number one, I can say in Hollywood Studios, we were often in masks in lines outside. Um,
Okay.
Seven Dwarf Mine Train, when we're out like way away from the ride, we
Going
were not
around
in
the.
mask. Right. But once we got to the place where you get in the line that's in the courtyard, even though you're outside, the masks had to be on. And you had to have your entire party with you. You couldn't
Yeah.
like go on the line while someone was in the restroom and they could catch up. You had to wait there for the rest of your party if that was the case.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
it was mostly though at Hollywood Studios where we were, in lines outside where we had to be masked, and it's hot. It was very hot. It
Yeah.
was in the 90s. It was very hot. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. It's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
That's what
not
we
having
ran
to wear
into
them
in
all the
July.
time, walking around was such a welcome change.
Yeah, no doubt. But when I saw the change in the restriction to not having to wear them outside,
Mhm.
But when you got in line, you did. And from what I understood, that meant anytime you were in a line that was going, whether it was outside or not. So,
No, and they're not doing that. And as a matter of fact, when we were in the line for Buzz, we weren't in mass until we went into the building.
until you got to the doors,
Um,
yeah.
and I do have to say, some of the 6 foot markers are still down on the ground. No
Mhm.
one is enforcing that. They do say they ask people to socially distance, but people are right on each other, just like always before.
Yeah.
They're
Oh.
just not separating from each other. Everybody's matter of fact, I looked behind me a couple times in line, like, please don't be like right on me, because and I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you're not masked and you're right on me, I'm not ready for that yet. And I'm vaccinated, but I I
Yeah.
think I'm just uncomfortable because of
I
the
would
fact.
be uncomfortable too.
Yeah. And
Like,
that's not as surprising. You're not the only one either. Cindy was telling us that when we go in October that she probably will wear her mask more often than she won't wear her mask.
Yeah, and I
You know,
think that's
just because
a
of the
choice
comfort
for sure.
level, you
Yes,
know?
I
yeah.
totally agree with that.
So,
Yeah, and you got to do what you got to do. I mean, we're our own people, so we do what makes us comfortable.
what you mentioned lines, let me segue real quick to a question from a listener.
Okay.
Um, Diana wanted to know if, what's her exact question? Are the lines longer with increased capacity? Are you feeling increased capacity? And are they like, is it like what they used to be back to that
Mm.
kind of, but when it was back to normal, kind of that kind of length? Or is it still slightly not as bad as,
I it sometimes it depends on how you catch it. For
yeah,
instance, we when we went to Animal Kingdom, we got there before park opening. The park was open. I mean, we literally landed on the bus at 7:15, got off the bus, went straight into the park and straight to Flight of Passage and waited 10 minutes max. At 11:30, it was an 80-minute wait. So you have to be
Wow.
strategic.
yeah,
Another thing was okay, on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, we were in a 30-minute line, but the ride went down, and the time for reset for that ride is 45 minutes. So we were in the line
No.
75 minutes, but we had a choice to leave the line. We chose not to.
right.
Later on that day, it was 80 minutes. So when we started, it was 30 minutes, and then later it was 80 minutes. So they do get up there. You just have to be smart and watch your wait times on the app. Sometimes you'll get in a line that says 50 minutes. And then right after you get in the line, it changed to 80 minutes. And somebody on the outside said, as soon as you got in line, it changed to 80 minutes. You choose whether to stay there or not. But later on that
Yeah.
day, it's going to be down to 20 minutes. So just try to be smart. There's like rides like Tower of Terror have peak times,
Hmm.
but then they have very low wait times.
Yeah.
So first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, and then just watch the wait times and take advantage of the lower times. But they do get up there. They can get up there because it's all standby. But the lines still move faster because they're not feeding from standby and fast pass. They're only feeding from standby. So please keep that in mind too. They look very intimidating.
But they're
Mm.
not as bad as they look.
Right, because they do move faster since they're not feeding from both lines.
Gotcha. Um, how do you normally plan your day at the park?
Me?
Yeah, for you and your family. Like, what is it? What's the normal? You're going to you're going to Animal Kingdom. Is the first thing you're doing is beelining over to do Flight of Passage
Flight
and
of
whatnot,
Passage.
and get
Yep.
them done first thing, regardless of the time it
And
says.
everybody is walking that direction, but the fact that there are no fast passes means everybody keeps moving.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean that's what we ran into. We went over to Flight of Passage, and we were way back in line by over by Festival of Lion King,
Hmm.
but the line just kept moving and moving and moving, and it really does
Yeah.
progress pretty quickly, especially
Yeah.
when it was when we were there. It was the line that was the socially distanced line, so it was longer because of the
Yes.
spacing. Um, so, but it still keeps moving, you know,
Yes.
and so that kind of is nice because it's almost like, do you go the extra 5 miles in your drive to know you're going to keep moving, or do you sit here and stop and go? That saves you that amount of time from not,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And some people are like us, and some people were paying attention to the 6 foot markers. So they still look a lot longer. It's mostly once you get into the inside where people are not really paying much attention. I use the markers. I still want that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
the lines still look that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All
All
right. Well,
right.
carry on.
Oh, well, let's see. Um, the hand sanitizers, they were everywhere when we went in December. They're not everywhere. They are certain places, but they're not everywhere. But I carry my own
Mm.
hand sanitizer, so that's not
Yeah.
a
So do
huge
we. Yeah.
thing for our
Yeah.
family. They are when we went in December for like the Frozen show, for instance, that I love so much. They were separating an empty row in between each taken row, and then separating 3 seats in between each party in a row. Now they're separating 1 seat in between each party in a row, but they're using every single row. The rides that were separating rows, they're not separating rows anymore. They still have like the partitions up, like on Big Thunder Mountain where they put the plexiglass part.
Uh
Those
huh.
are still up, but they're not separating
Mm.
parties on the ride like that.
And I
Okay.
kind of wonder, do you think the partitions are going to stay there for
I
quite a
hope
while?
so. I hope so because I think they went through a lot of expense to put those up. And what if we go
Right.
back? I mean, I hope we never go back again, but what if we do?
Right.
I think it's
Yeah.
safe to leave them up there for a while. Just,
For what you said about the cost to put them up to begin with,
Yeah.
and the cost it would take at least in manpower to take them down anyway.
yeah. I don't
You
think it
know,
hurts anything to leave them up.
I don't either, and so I kind of feel like they're going to stay myself too, but
Yeah.
who knows? But
Makes me feel better.
yeah.
Makes me feel better. Let's see. So the Princess Cavalcade on the floats that were coming through Magic Kingdom when we were there in December, the princesses are now walking through. You may have, I think I sent you the video where they were walking through and like waving to everybody. They weren't on the float. So some of those
Okay.
things have changed. Now they have Tink riding a float around,
She's
but
on
some
the
of the
treasure
things have
chest.
changed. Yes.
Yeah,
So
we were talking
yeah.
about that last week. Sophie's favorite is
Yeah.
Tinkerbell because it was the first one
Yeah.
she's
So
seen.
cute. Yes, she's
Yeah.
so cute.
Uh-huh.
Love her. There's still no pre-shows like the Haunted Mansion. The pre-show is not you walk straight through. Um, the TTA was great to ride again.
Oh, I wrote it with you, Brenda.
It was great to be on that again.
Oh, golly. I
Yay!
still can't wait till we get to ride it.
Yeah, it's gonna be so awesome for you guys.
Yeah.
So we did get into the virtual queue. So you were asking how we tour the parks, and especially for Hollywood Studios, we try for the 7 a.m. Rise of the Resistance boarding pass.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We're ready to be ready if we get number one or two to get to the park quickly. But in both cases this time where we got the boarding passes, we got them at the 1 o'clock time.
Okay.
So we did not go to the park,
Yeah.
backbreakingly early.
Right.
If
Because
so, we
you didn't
play
get
that
it,
on that.
so you fed off of that. Yeah.
We do feed off that. When we go to Animal Kingdom, we usually
Yeah.
go early intentionally to get to Flight of Passage. But a lot of times we either go early to a park or we go late in the afternoon and stay
Yeah.
till it
Hmm.
closes. So we don't usually go anymore. We don't usually go first thing in the morning and stay all day long till it closes, which we did a
Yeah.
long time ago. But after you've been so many times, you don't. I don't know. You write your favorites and then The mobile ordering worked better this time for me on the quick service dining.
Okay.
The last time when we went in December, something was glitchy in my phone and I had a lot of problems and it was very, very frustrating. This time I didn't have any problems.
Mm.
So I don't know
Good.
if other people have been
You
affected
know
by that,
what?
but hopefully it's
You know,
better.
I think I heard that it's because of your rubbing elbows with Sophie and I on the podcast that technology is
I
bleeding
bet.
over into you and it just
That's
works a little
right.
bit better because of that.
That's right. I'm going to keep rubbing those elbows.
Yep.
Hey, two questions. Mobile
uh,
ordering. Is Columbia Harbor House still closed?
yeah,
Okay.
Mm.
And is the Tomorrowland Terrace still serving the
Still
Columbia
serving.
Harbor House food?
didn't go there.
Okay. We
Darn.
found out on Easter Sunday that the Columbia Harbor House food was being prepared and served over at Tomorrowland Terrace. And that's
Nice.
where we ate before we had dinner at the plaza. And so that was nice to be able to have fish and chips and whatnot from
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there. Um, but one of the things that was interesting was when we went to ride Peter Pan, they actually sent us through Columbia Harbor House as part of the queue for Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was interesting. It was totally weird. It was like
that's crazy.
it was weird, and so I wasn't sure how that worked if they did that for you.
No, no.
Okay.
We went through the
Yeah.
And I don't
regular.
know exactly why they did that, but they were sending people into the restaurant and walking through the restaurant as part of the queue for Peter Pan.
It was really kind of an eye-opener. Like walking through that restaurant, I was able to see why it was closed for COVID because those
Yeah.
rooms,
Are
it's
so
not an
small. Yeah.
it's not an open concept. It does follow the architectural style of that time period, and the rooms are really, really tiny, and there's
Yeah,
just a bunch of them.
yeah, yeah.
And it does, and that does explain why
If we went
Columbia
through there,
Harbor
I
House
didn't
is
notice it.
closed.
I wish I'd paid attention more. We
I
Yeah.
saw
think
the
you would have
beds and all
known.
that with the
I
kids and stuff, but
I think you would have known because we were walking, we were like to go get in line, and we ended up keep going down, and then the cast members pointed us to the line for Peter Pan and said, "Yeah, it goes through the Harbor House," and that's
crazy.
just like the
You would have,
outside part of the queue. So
yeah, you would have known if, like, you would have known
you
if
would
you
have
went
known
through the
if you
Harbor
Okay.
went.
House.
Yeah,
I
you would
do
have known.
know that at Liberty Tree Tavern, which is one of our favorite table service, we ate there. And Liberty Tree Tavern has taken over Diamond Horseshoe. So sometimes when you check in for your reservation, you're in Liberty Tree Tavern. We were taken to Diamond Horseshoe, which I
That's
love that atmosphere.
Yeah,
And
we
that
did
food is
that too for
still great,
Thanksgiving.
wonderful food. It is so
Thanksgiving. We were
good.
there for Thanksgiving Day,
Well, and
and
you're
Yep.
always there for Thanksgiving when you're there.
true. But for
And it is
Thanksgiving Day
delicious.
specifically, we chose them for
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
we ate
Yeah.
at Diamond Horseshoe. So
Great, great food there. Great
Hmm.
food.
yeah,
And they deal with my allergies extremely well there. And I have
Good.
weird allergy. I'm not just allergic to like normal 8 allergies. And I'm not even allergic to some of them. I'm allergic to other things and they're just really, really accommodating.
They
yeah.
are, and I love Disney when it comes to allergies. They do
Yeah,
such a good job with that.
they really do. You can feel confident when you travel there that you're being looked after. I really love that.
Yeah.
Okay, back
So
to
I
the
think let's see if there's anything else on um so the park was very crowded at times,
mhm.
in my mind compared to December. Um,
And did it feel overcrowded?
Hollywood Studios is the only one that really feels overcrowded to me. In certain areas, obviously, back there in Galaxy's Edge, it feels overcrowded. It's just so popular.
And Toy Story Land, yeah.
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 But it's
Um,
okay. I mean, it's still
by
doable for sure.
overcrowded, do I mean how does it feel compared to like when it's normal capacity?
I don't feel like it's anywhere near normal capacity. We're
Even
not
though
standing in
it's
line to get in any restrooms. You know how you're normal, well, you don't know, Mike, but Sophie does. Women are usually standing in line to get in a
Oh yeah.
bathroom. We're
Yeah.
not, we didn't have any lines to get in the bathrooms.
yeah,
So it's not
Yeah.
like it was.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
So
have any of
that's
that
that.
either on
You
our
know what?
most
That's a
recent
good.
trips. And you know what? Yeah, that is a
That is
blessing.
It's a
that is
blessing.
actual. That is proof positive of the capacity levels. Then,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, when as soon as you said that, I thought back to the movie Cars when they're at the Coliseum and you see all these women
That's
cars wait,
right.
and then the guy cars just go zip zip
That
zip.
is true to life for sure.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
really not fair. It is
It's
not
not, but
fair.
from this guy's perspective, it's still funny as all get out.
It's funny for you. It's not funny for us.
But to hear
Yes.
Brenda say that no, there's no lines at the restrooms, then that speaks positive about how low the capacities are still set.
Yes. That is
So
very helpful. Yes,
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
and that's a good barometer. So you
Yeah,
heard it here first. You'll know you're getting closer to full capacity when the lines start building for the restrooms.
that's right. That's
The
right.
women's restroom
The women's
specifically.
restrooms.
Yes.
Yes, the women's restrooms. So I'm just going to quickly share with you guys the perspective of things from a 9 and 7-year-old and what they liked.
Okay.
And
Yes.
this is Aaliyah's 9 and McKinley's 7. Sometimes they agreed, sometimes they didn't. So I asked them what was their favorite, the Skyliner or the bus, and they both said Skyliner. I asked them their favorite park. Aaliyah said Hollywood Studios because of Rock and Roller Coaster and other favorites, and McKinley said Animal Kingdom because of Flight of Passage and Everest.
Mm.
She's the 7-year-old. The favorite ride at each park was Flight of Passage for Animal Kingdom for both, Rock and Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios for both, Space Mountain for the 9-year-old, and Splash Mountain for the 7-year-old at Magic Kingdom, and Soarin' at Epcot for both. So they had that
Okay.
in common. Favorite snack? Aaliyah's favorite snack was an ice cream sandwich, which she got at every opportunity. And McKinley's favorite was the Num Num, Jack's Num Num in Hollywood Studios. I love that.
Okay.
Mm.
I asked them if they liked the resort, and they do like the resort. Aaliyah liked that it had 2 beds, and McKinley liked that it had the fold down little bed because she slept on that pretty often. And then the pool, I said, did you like the pool? Very good. They loved the water slide and all the pool games.
That's
They had
Stormalong
so
Bay,
much
right?
fun. Yes. And literally on our third day there, we took a lot of the day for the resort. They literally were in the pool for 7 hours
Wow.
Wow.
between the water
They
slide,
had
the
a
pool
good pool
games.
day.
I mean, it was so much fun for those kids.
I
And
feel
you
like
The
know,
character, I'm
that's
sorry.
kind I'm sorry.
No,
That's kind of like, that's why I don't always think going to the water parks are all that big a deal because
me neither.
the pools at Disney are so
Yes.
good, for a lot of them that you don't really have to bother with a ticket for a water park because you get so much pool activity or the potential
yeah,
at the resorts that you're at.
I agree
but
with
I
that.
still enjoy the water parks. I
We
Yeah.
still
have
enjoy them.
Schlitterbahns here. We have several Schlitterbahns within driving distance. So we do water parks here. So we don't do the water parks at Disney, but the pools are great. People that don't have access to water parks, though, that would be a lot of fun for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I asked them about the characters and how they felt about the character interactions they had, which they had some really great character interactions that I videoed. McKinley said she almost cried. She just loves the characters so much. They're like part of her heart. Aaliyah's favorite was Rapunzel because when Rapunzel and all the
Oh.
princesses were walking down the street, Aaliyah had her little Mickey buns,
Uh-huh.
and Rapunzel said, "I love your hair." And that
Ah,
meant the
nice.
Oh.
world to her.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
then the bears from the Country Bear Jamboree were on
Being on
top,
the
and
roof.
McKinley was dancing with them, and she was in love with them. It was so sweet.
Yeah.
The character
That is
interaction is still
adorable.
alive and well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Even though you can't get up close and get a hug and
That's right.
whatever, there's still a lot of ways they're interacting.
Yeah,
lot of great
they
ways.
it's so magical for them. It's
Wow.
so magical for them. I asked them if they prefer the cavalcades or the parades. And McKinley prefers the parades and Aaliyah prefers the cavalcades. So there you go.
There you go.
They loved seeing Minnie and Mickey and Donald up on the railroad station. On the railroad
Uh-huh.
station, they were playing with them and blowing kisses, and they were blowing kisses back, and it was just so sweet. I asked them what their favorite table service was. It was Whispering Canyon Cafe because we had so much fun there. They're not they're not having guests do the ketchup because you can imagine you don't want somebody touching all these ketchup bottles and then bringing them to your
Sure.
table right now during COVID.
Yeah.
But they still were fun because I posted a video on my Facebook page of my husband because my husband was wearing his white shirt that day and he asked them if they had a bib. He didn't want to get the barbecue sauce on his white shirt, and they brought out this thing.
Huge tablecloth, right?
It was like a huge poncho that they made into this apron.
Oh
It
my
was great.
gosh.
And what was it? The kids asked for a
Yeah,
little
the
more
kids
Coke.
asked for, yeah, she said, "Do you want some more to drink?" And they said, "I'll have a little more Coke." And so she brought them these little bitty,
Things of
glass
Coke.
of
Like
Coke
that
with a
big.
long straw. And then Casey asked for a to-go box. So they brought her this big box, this Joffrey's coffee box. And then they put a little
Oh, I thought I saw the box and I didn't pick up on what that was for. I thought it was for you.
Hilarious.
I thought that was
No,
what they had given you for your birthday.
no, they brought me a cupcake with she made like a goalpost with Kleenexes sticking out like fireworks. It was just, it's
Oh,
really a
wow.
place. And the girls love Whispering Canyon Cafe. It's so much fun. So even though it's modified, it's still a lot of fun.
When we were there
Oh god.
for not this past Thanksgiving, the year before, I think it was, or maybe the year before that, for Randy's birthday, or was it this past Thanksgiving? For Randy's
No,
birthday, Sophie,
it was the year before.
year before. We
Yeah.
we went there for Randy's birthday and we had the best waiter and he was so funny and he gave the for Cindy she wanted a refill of water and she got this big gallon, you know. But for
Yeah.
Randy, with it being his birthday, they brought him a cupcake and the waiter saw that he wasn't really it because we had bought a cake to
Yeah.
for because of gluten free for Jagan to be able to have it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And um, so we had the cake, and the waiter came up and took Randy's cupcake. Said, "I see you don't want it," and he ate half of it right in front of. It was so funny. It was so funny. Oh, it was awesome.
It
That
was
way,
very funny.
it was.
That
And
place
Randy
is
was
great.
like, "What are you doing?"
Place is fantastic.
It
I
was
love
awesome.
it.
It was awesome.
It was great.
Okay.
And then afterwards, we ended up offering, I think, the other half to him.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
Oh god, that place is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
So
a great waiter.
I also asked Casey if she had any pointers that she thought we should let everyone know about, from the trip, and she said they're not enforcing the social distancing. That's a big thing.
Mm,
Um, we're not wearing masks all the time, but in outside queues, it feels sometimes unnecessary when you're in the outside queues to have to wear them. So I'm hoping that's going to change pretty quickly. And she said it's still magical and awesome.
Mhm.
June is hot. And McKinley says, book a flight with my Mimi.
aw.
There you go.
That's it.
And Mimi's email address is brenda@pixievacations.com.
That's right. And I don't book
Yeah.
flight because you do flight as part of your Disney package right now. But it's okay. Book your trip with me. She'll be happy.
Yeah. You
Mike,
you'll
she'll be
want to
happy
make a
too.
little girl happy, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. If you don't want to make a little girl happy, then obviously you have no soul, and why are you even watching us?
Anyway, moving on from that, Sophie. One more listener question, Brenda.
Okay.
Jennifer wants to know, are the parks doing the service where when you purchase items and they are able to send to your resort without you having to carry the items around yet?
No,
They're not doing that yet.
no, they're still trying to be as touchless as possible. They're also not getting the luggage from the airport for you when you're doing
Right.
Magical Express. They're trying really hard to still not touch more, which is why the reduced mousekeeping and all that too.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So
But I think things are going to get better and better as time goes on.
so let's say that you're at the Magic Kingdom and you buy something mid-morning. What would be your recommendation so that they don't have to carry it all day till the end of the day? Rent a
My
locker?
Yeah, my personal recommendation is for me personally, is if it will fit in my backpack and it's not breakable, put it in my backpack and carry it that way. If it is big or breakable, I would
Give
rent a
it to
locker.
Butch. Yeah.
No,
Give
I'd
it
rent
to
a
Butch.
locker. And then I would have to put a message in a notice in my phone to remind me to get the locker, to get it from the locker because I don't normally get a locker. So I would forget it there. So I'd have to put a
Yeah.
And
notification in my phone.
and you can't, they don't have any spot where you could take it to like guest services or whatever, and then they store it and then pick it up.
They may send it to the front of the park. I did not try that.
Okay.
I just pretty much shop at the end of the day knowing that I don't want to carry it.
All day.
But there are lines still.
Yeah.
There's still lines to get into some of the stores. Like
Yeah.
the Emporium line is always down that side and sometimes
Uh-huh.
goes over toward the baby center. But
Yeah.
it moves quickly. I mean, the lines move, pretty quickly. They just have to monitor how many people are in the store at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Good stuff. All right.
Some of the
Thank you.
stores are still closed. You know
Mhm.
when you're down there in Hollywood Studios, down where that Christmas shop is, and that other shop down there past Muppets, that those are still closed.
Okay.
So not everything is open yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All
So,
right.
Still a great time.
yeah. So,
Awesome.
what was your park order days?
We went to Epcot our day of arrival,
Okay.
Hollywood Studios the next day, Magic Kingdom the next day, Animal Kingdom the next day, Hollywood Studios the next day, and Magic Kingdom the last day.
Okay.
Nice. And what was your favorite day?
My birthday was my favorite day.
Okay.
Um,
And what did you do
we
specifically?
we had my daughter-in-law had made us shirts. Mine said, I think it said birthday girl or whatever, and all the rest said birthday squad.
Uh-huh.
So I had
Oh,
my
wow.
squad around me and it was really, I just loved having them there with me. And we used to travel for our birthday with the granddaughters and not their mother didn't usually go with us. It was just us two and then the oldest two granddaughters, but she wanted to go this time and it was just such a great time to be back because I had to miss last year's because the park was closed. So everything was more magical this year because I had to miss it last year.
Yeah.
But
Gotcha.
yeah, we were at Hollywood Studios, so we rode Rise of the Resistance and we rode everything that day.
Mhm.
Wow.
And it was just a great time. And then we just had dinner at by the pool while the kids
Oh,
Okay.
played
nice.
and it was just fun. It was just togetherness.
And then you went to Raglan Road?
We ended up not going to Raglan Road for much.
Hmm.
We contemplated and you know, truthfully, my granddaughters are not real adventuresome on what they eat. So number one, I knew they wouldn't eat the bread pudding.
Uh-huh.
And so
Oh,
we would have needed to buy like extra desserts and things like that. We just ended up not doing it just because of a cost factor, period.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but it's okay.
Okay.
I had a cupcake that day. I think we were at Hollywood Studio. I think I had my carrot cake cookie that day. So I was good. We
Hmm.
decided not to spend the money for it.
Okay.
We're going to go in
Well,
November because, I really miss it.
yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. Looking ahead, you got to have a reason to go back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Even
Any
as
other
much as I hate that excuse.
I'm
what?
sorry.
The reason to go back, because it always means that you're leaving.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah, that's
But
true.
it always means that you have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. All right.
All
So,
right.
any else that you want to add, Brenda?
No, but I did want to say I'll monitor if there's something I didn't cover that someone has a question about. I'll monitor, the comments and stuff, and if somebody posts a question that I didn't address, I'll be happy to answer it.
Yeah.
All right. Um, I don't think there's any other questions, but I could be wrong. So,
No.
You never know if somebody might think of something later.
all
No
right. Yeah,
questions that I
exactly.
know of.
Exactly.
All
All
right
right.
then.
Well, that wraps up our feature topic, and it's time for this day in Disney history for June 14th. Sophie,
Yes.
what do you got?
This one is just one, but it's a big one. All of this happens on the same day in 1959. On this day, three major attractions are christened at Disneyland. The first is the monorail system. It is the
Ooh.
first urban one, and it begins operation today. The two Mark I trains run on a 0.8-mile track around Tomorrowland. Walt Disney and the U.S. Vice President Nixon and their families are on hand for the dedication of the Highway in the Sky. In June 1961, the monorail will become a transportation link instead of a sightseeing ride. With an extended 2.5-mile track, Disneyland hotel guests will be able to board the monorail at the hotel and begin their park visit in Tomorrowland. Also on this day at Disneyland, the Matterhorn mountain with its Matterhorn bobsleds opens.
Yay!
Modeled after the Matterhorn, a real mountain in the Swiss Alps, it is the first roller coaster to use a cylindrical rail and urethane wheels, which will become standard in the roller coaster industry. At 147 feet tall, the Matterhorn contains 500 tons of structural steel. The ride consists of two separate tracks that run somewhat parallel to each other for much of the ride, intertwining and eventually deviating from each other at the loading areas. And the submarine voyage ride is officially dedicated on this day as well in
Uh,
Tomorrowland, although it has been open since June 6th. The attraction has cost about $2.5 million to create.
wow.
The Nautilus and Seven
Goodness.
Sister submarines, the Triton, Seawolf, Skipjack, George Washington, Patrick Henry, and Ethan Allen allow 38 Disneyland guests at a time to take their own voyage to the North Pole. For the dedication of the new submarine voyage attraction, the opening ceremonies feature 8 live mermaids performing a synchronized swimming ballet at the lagoon. Miss Mildred Nelson, wife of the chief mechanist on the first nuclear-powered submarine, USS Nautilus, helps Walt Disney christen the sub D-301, appropriately named Nautilus.
There you go.
Awesome.
Well, that's cool.
Yes.
Um, when we went to Disneyland in 2013, it's our first trip to Disneyland. We were able to ride on the front in the front car of the monorail.
Oh, cool.
And that was still to this day is still a highlight
Oh, yeah.
of us being able to do that because we weren't able to do that by that point at the
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
So it is so cool to be able to do that. I don't know if they still do that over there or
I don't
not.
know. I don't know that they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was cool. That was the highlight. That was so cool.
It
Yeah.
was very cool. All right.
All right. So I have
Oh.
two bits of did you know or of Disney history, not did you know. Um of course, today is June 9th, 2021, when we're recording, and The first you both know, and that is that Loki premieres tonight on
Yep.
Disney Plus. And I know Brenda is at the very
A
least going to be
big
excited to
Marvel.
see it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But I have Disney history. I keep getting it mixed up. For June 9th, 1973. On this day, Secretariat won
Oh,
the Belmont Stakes and the was it Belmont or Preakness, and won the Triple Crown on this day
wow.
with
Oh,
that
wow.
with that world record time of 2 minutes 24 seconds, and won it was Belmont because it was New York, and won by like 30 some legs.
Wow.
I was sitting on the floor in my living room watching those races. Oh my goodness, he was beautiful.
And see, I never saw the races except on YouTube. And I went out on YouTube when I saw the history. I saw a YouTube of it, and I watched all three of them in like 9 minutes.
Wow.
Beautiful.
It
Like the
was,
whole country was just invested in this horse. Like we never watched horse races. We were not, I mean,
yeah, it
it
wasn't
was
what you
just
did. Yeah,
so wonderful.
yeah,
Wow.
and it just reminds me, of course, of that great Disney history or Disney movie of Secretariat. They did such a good job on
Oh,
that
they
to me,
did.
anyway.
Yeah.
That is
So,
a great movie.
anyway, Disney history for June 9th as well.
Mhm.
All
Awesome.
right. Well,
Thank you for sharing that.
that takes us to Stump the Soph.
Yay, here he goes,
Yep.
Sophie.
I
All
need to
right,
put my
let's go.
glasses on,
Let's do this.
She is ready and Grogu is ready to help.
and I have no doubts that you'll get this very easily. Um, in fact, I'm trying to figure out how to give a clue without making it so dang easy.
Whisper
Hmm.
it to me and I'll help.
um, hang on.
Do 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 do
Okay,
do do do
I
do
have.
do 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 do
Okay,
do
so
do 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 do.
see here. This character is a proud fairy.
Tinkerbell.
No.
What?
Tinkerbell was a couple weeks ago.
Oh wait, you're right. A proud fairy.
Uh-huh. And this character, um, how do I say it? I'm gonna say one word: christening.
Flora or Merryweather.
No.
Fauna?
No.
Maleficent.
Well, if you keep shouting enough names out, eventually you're gonna get it.
I knew it was from Sleeping Beauty, okay?
Okay. Yes,
But
it
to
is.
me, Flora and Fauna and Merryweather, they all are pretty dang proud aside from Fauna. She's kind of less, she's more understated than the other two, but Flora and Merryweather, they are very proud.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it is Maleficent.
Nice.
And I'll
Very
read you what it
nice.
says because it's worth reading.
Yeah.
Maleficent is the self proclaimed mistress of all evil, a wicked fairy with green skin and black horns. Maleficent is feared by all in King Stephan's kingdom. Maleficent lives in a weathered castle at the top of the Forbidden Mountain. Her only companions are her raven and her henchmen, the goons. She is a proud fairy and does not take kindly to being denied the respect she believes she deserves. When she is not invited to Prince Aurora's christening, excuse me, Maleficent gets revenge by cursing the child to death. Maleficent has a short temper. She flies off the handle easily and does not like being proven wrong. Eager to keep the princess from waking once she does fall into her enchanted slumber, Maleficent kidnaps Prince Philip, even going so far as to turn herself into a dragon to keep him from Aurora.
Wow.
Ultimately, however, her cold heart proves no challenge for true love, and she is slain by the prince.
Wow.
So
That
I
was
tr-
very good, Sophie.
it's
Why,
hard to
thank you.
it's hard to come up with clues that wouldn't make it simple. Because
Yeah.
my
She
third
did a
clue
great
was
job, Brenda.
dragon, and there would have been no way you wouldn't have known it then.
That would have been a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
So, did you know? 3 did you knows? Maleficent means working or productive of harm or evil.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
I actually thought that Maleficent was a cross between two words,
Nope.
magnificent and malevolent.
Maybe it is. Maleficent is ranked 7th in Empire Magazine's 50 best animated movie characters. And the sound of the dragon Maleficent breathing fire was created by using a flamethrower.
Ooh,
Yes. That's so cool.
interesting.
Yeah. So that is my Disney Who's Who character.
All right.
Okay. And that takes us to Brenda's Walt Disney quote.
No, I have a short and sweet Walt Disney quote this week.
Okay.
You'll be a poorer person all your life if you don't know some of the great stories and great poems.
Yeah.
Walt Disney was a lover of books.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I think he really, really felt that they really enrich your life.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
Oh, I had to say, I'm sorry, but I
Go
just
ahead.
remembered. I spent a lot of time in the One Man's Dream on my birthday in Hollywood Studios. That was
Oh,
a
wow.
treasure to my heart. And of course, when I left the movie, I was bawling like every other time I've ever seen it.
Oh.
But it was a very, very special thing to my heart that I did on that day.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. So, what do you want to talk about next week?
Oh, goodness. I have no idea.
You have a list?
I don't have a list really compiled, but I was thinking if you guys want to do some research, how about we each pick one entrant into the Disney Legends program and talk about that person and why we wanted to talk about them.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds like a very nice idea.
There's a lot of Disney legends.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Disney Legends. So I have some suggestions, at least for Sophie. And I will send the list over of the website that lists them all. And
Okay.
why don't we talk about a Disney legend? So we each pick a Disney legend to talk about.
I already have 2 in mind, so as long as they're not somebody y'all have, then...
Who do you have in mind?
Well, do we want to say?
No,
Well,
don't say just
okay.
yet.
Okay.
Don't say
So-
just yet.
Next week, we're going to take a dive into the Disney Legends program, and we're each going to talk about a Disney legend. So that's our topic, is
Yep.
Disney Legends.
All right.
Okay. So I hope yours aren't some of the 9 old men because we already covered them.
Yeah, no. The only rule is no 9 old men. We've already discussed them. No. No.
Okay.
My
All
2 are
right.
people I kind of already know a lot about since I'll be moving, and I won't really have much time for research.
That's true.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So
All right.
that's our feature topic for next week.
Yay.
And that is all the show we have for you this week. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I am looking forward to talking about some of our Disney legends next week. So, Grogu, Brenda,
Yeah.
Sophie,
We
it
will
will.
see
See
you
you
on the road.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.